H2A sheep herders are contractual employees for the sheep operations, and they are an indispensable and valued member of each operation. Bringing herders to the United States through the H2A program is a long and expensive process.
The H2A program is not a fast program. It's not something that I can tie into today and then expect to have a guy tomorrow. It takes, 3 months turnaround is pretty fast. It usually is about 4 months.
As with any other occupation, occasionally personality conflicts and other problems arise that make the working relationship difficult or impossible.
En caso de algún problema con un compañero de trabajo, se tiene que hacer llegar al patrón y de esa manera el patrón tiene que dar una solución. La segunda opción es, si tengo un problema con el patrón, tengo que conversar con el representante de la Western Ranch y él lo que tiene que ver la mejor forma de qué forma solucionar eso. Eso es lo que puede ser en ese punto. No hay otra cosa que pueda agregar.
H2A herders are not prohibited from quitting their job and returning to their country of origin, although they may be responsible for a portion or all of their travel expenses, while most H2A herders successfully complete their 3-year contracts without incident. Although special interest groups often fail to mention it, ranchers and herders have different options available when it comes to resolving problems. Herders that aren't getting along with each other may be moved to different parts of the ranch so they don't have to work together. A herder that is homesick or having trouble coping with the isolation might be moved in closer to the ranch headquarters. Herders that have come in through the Western Range Association can be signed to a different ranch if things aren't working out with their current employer. Western Range Association and Mountain Plains Agriculture Service are in existence to assist both the rancher and the herder with the employment process and conflicts.
My guys have Mountain Plains phone number. If there's a problem, they'll call and they'll ask a question. If they don't think I'm getting them the right answer, why, they ask the question of Mountain Plains, and they all have a contract, and they have a contract in Spanish, and it's not a, it's a fairly simple contract to read and understand, and they have rights. If they don't like what's going on, they can start filing paperwork to be moved to a different place, and Mountain Plains will try to do that if it's a real problem.
What I've seen in my experience with the men is those who are not in the H2A program don't have the options provided that the guys have in the H2A program. If they have come to this country illegally, it's more difficult. They can't call somebody and say, I don't get along with my boss, I'd like to transfer. There's no one that they can appeal to because they're illegal. But within the program, with Western Range, they call, they contact them. They say, something's not right here, I need some help. And usually there hasn't been any transfers in my experience. Usually things are worked out.
Most often, ranchers and herders make a legitimate effort to resolve problems. After all, there is a lot at stake for both parties. If shepherd's concerns aren't addressed by the employer or assisting agency, the herder can contact the state workforce office, or in the legitimate case of an emergency, they can ask a neighboring ranch or local law enforcement for help. The Federal Department of Labor requires that workers' rights are posted in the sheep camps, and the information is posted in Spanish. Furthermore, the Department of Labor is responsible for prosecuting ranchers that do not adhere to H2A program regulations.
That's one nice thing about Mountain Plains and their position there, is because if there is a complaint, the guys are afraid to talk to me about the complaint. They go to them, and it's to my benefit and to the workers' benefit to get it hashed out so that everybody's working in conditions that they're feeling comfortable about. So, and it's expensive for us to get these guys in, and it's important for us to try to do what we can do to make them happy. Some people you can't make happy. Some people this doesn't work out, but I've never had one yet.
If they're not content with their job, they're not going to do a good job with the livestock. It just doesn't make it for a good situation. The whole job is about livestock, taking care of the sheep, and if they're not enjoying that job and they're not enjoying us, it just makes for a bad relationship. And obviously the bottom line is the dollars go down, and that's why we're kind of in the business of that, but we're in the business because we have a passion for it.
Yeah, and in that, you know, I mean, it's our livelihood that we're depending on these guys with, and you know, that works both ways. But a disgruntled employee is somebody that you don't want to be nervous about taking care of your livelihood. And so with that, you know, if something's not right or we can fix it, then we will, or we'll address it. You know, if not, then we need to move on with a different employee.
And normally, those people, you can see them kind of discontent with their job. All of a sudden, they're sick a little more often, and we've had that happen. And every time we go to camp, we've taken them to doctors and so on. But every time, I mean, and eventually, this individual said he'd like to go home, and it changed our operation considerably, but we obviously allowed him to go home, but you could tell that he was not content.
It's only fair to point out that shepherds suffer from the same shortcomings as their employers. There are many outstanding shepherds that are considered cherished family members by the ranchers, and there are some bad apples as well. Shepherds encompass a broad spectrum of personality traits, but you would never know that they are anything but innocent, exploited workers if you accept the special interest group's portrayal of these workers.
What I wish I could see was that every rancher cared, as every rancher was the ideal as some of my friends are. It isn't going to happen. There is not a perfect world here. What I wish I could see is that every shepherd was as respectful of his fellow shepherds as I have seen some shepherds be, instead of actually getting into fistfights or killing each other's dogs or doing other malicious things to chase out one guy so they could bring in a family member to replace him. Both sides have their problems, and both sides have their blessings. And all of us would like to see it made better for everybody. And I think that I have seen that overall with Western Range.